Hey everybody, welcome back to 608 Fab. I am back at the shop. Last video I posted up was from S'more. I think I posted a day 2 update video. I really wanted to do update videos along the whole way on that trip, but two things. One, cell phone reception, internet. They've done a lot better job, but they put some Wi-Fi in there, and with as many people that were there, Wi-Fi got a little short. Also couldn't get the Wi-Fi in our camper very reliably, so uploading videos just became a pain in the butt. Also, most of those videos we tried to take were wheeling videos, and I don't know what the other YouTubers out there are doing, but we're not doing it right because all of our footage sucks. So trying to keep cameras from vibrating and looking like you're driving through a washing machine or a paint mixer is just not what we're at right now. So got to come up with something a little better than that. And we also wheeled most of the time by ourselves, so we just kind of hung out and trail rode, but we rode a lot of the 4s, almost all of the 5s. We gave a shot at some of the 6s. Pulled a little winch cable on puppy liquor halfway up. Had a spot on day 3 that I said not worth breaking the Jeep. And so crawled up the second to last obstacle on puppy liquor. And then our only thing we backed out of was Colt 45 down there, which is a trail that we did the first time we were down there on 37s, on half-ton axles. And we pretty much, it was a winch fest for me and my wife, but we had a blast, laughed our asses off doing it. Got down there, we tried Colt 45 day 1, and it just wasn't worth it day 1, so to risk breaking something. But we had a blast. I mean, we really had a blast. 2 easy days of wheeling, 1.5 days of really romping on the thing, and the old Jeep buggy deal did pretty good. We do have a little carnage though, so let me show you what we got going on. Carnage spot number 1, I think this was on Rattler, about halfway up from the waterfall, give or take. Either that or this happened over on the trail that they call Red Bull. I can't remember, but left hand off camber, and I got a tree stump root thing into the side of this. So the 080 Polycore held up really good. Got a little dent in the side here. That's just some trail damage, but let me show you how good this Polycore held up. So when this got bent, and get in here, it actually folded up the floor pan before it finally managed to kind of shear its way through the panel. It didn't even really shear it, more or less fractured it, which that's what I saw when I was playing with scrap material of this. If you bend it back and forth enough times, it will just kind of fracture along an edge. And then we got whatever, I'm gonna leave that tree root in there for a little while. So that did exactly what I wanted it to do. It took a pretty hard hit, and all I got to do is just unzip the screws out of this panel, lay it on top of another one, cut out a new panel, and bolt it on. But I'm going to make 2 panels. One's going to be the full-size panel, and then the other panel is going to stop here. So it's just going to fill in this bottom cavity that's kind of ugly. The exhaust runs through there. And then this hole will be wide open. So that way you can see the back side of the other panel there. Both of those parts will be wide open for some ventilation. It's getting hot, hot, hot in this thing. While we were out wheeling, I did take off 2 out of the 2 out of the 3 door panels. I took the rear one and the front one off, and I left that one for a little protection at our legs a little bit. That helped a bunch to peel those 2 panels out and get some air moving through this thing. So I don't know exactly what I'm going to do here, but I'm going to make 2 panels, kind of a winter panel that would be all filled in, or spring fall, and then maybe one that's just got a big hole opened up in it. But everything else, as far as like the Polycore, held up really good. Didn't take too many hits. The back of it does take a lot of rocks, which it's, I built this thing tall in the rear. It's kind of ugly, but it does serve a purpose of protecting debris coming at us from behind. So let's talk about some of the other carnage. I got a leaky shock. It's not bad. It probably just damaged the O-ring on the bottom shaft seal. So I've got 2 more shocks as spares, but she's oozing some oil out. I don't see any damage in the shaft itself, so that's good. Just needs a rebuild kit. Nothing too big of a deal. And the last and final piece of carnage, lower links. So when I built this, I did it on 1.5" quarter wall. I think it's 1.5" quarter wall. It might be 1.75" quarter wall. DOM, welded in bungs, and small heims, because I just didn't know any better. So these have always left me a little worried, but what you got here is that thing is no longer straight. I've bent this one once before maybe and straightened it out pretty decent. We're going to straighten it out again. And I'm going to order some 70-75 aluminum and probably in a 2¼ inch. And we're going to make some new links. However, that's not going to happen until after our next trip. And we're taking a quick weekend next weekend to go up to Larsons UTV Park. And that's in Wisconsin. That's ATV UTV Park. That about once a month this year so far, they have opened it up to Jeeps. So we're gonna do 2 nights camping, Friday and Saturday night. They don't really have a campground set up, but he's like, hey, where everybody parks, there's plenty of room. Fire up the gen, bring your camper up, hang out for the weekend. So that's what we're gonna do. So I'm gonna straighten the lower link. I'm actually probably not even gonna worry about the shock. I'm gonna keep my spares. I'm gonna get some parts ordered. The shock is working. It's just weeping oil out of it. Straighten up the lower links and start working on getting some stuff ordered. Hopefully I can get some new links for before we go back to S'more for Crawl the Ozarks in September. So that's what we're doing today. So I've got the lower link out of the passenger side pulled. Pretty darn straight, and then wah, wah, wah. So last one I did when I bent one of these, I only bent it a little bit. So what I did was I put it in an old junky die on my gray machine bender. This thing is so not rated for what I'm about to do to it, but this is what I bent the cage with and everything. So we're going to abuse it and get that thing to straighten up. So let's see how it goes. All right, so here's what I ended up with. Now this is not perfect, nor is it ever going to be perfect again. Pretty straight that way. Got a little bend in it still, but for what its job needs to be for one more weekend, I'm pretty good with that. So, and then these are going to become spares. So if I ever tore up a big one, which I'll never tear that up because I don't have the horsepower, the weight, the craziness. I'm going like legit rock bouncer style lower links. So 2¼ 2½ inch 70-75 T6 aluminum. Not sure if I'm buying them from one of the suppliers that's already out there, or once we have the lathe dialed in here, if I make them myself. Doing the numbers on it, it looks like if I do them myself, by the time I buy the 1-inch taps and the proper drill bit, if my father-in-law doesn't already have those, which he might, but I don't think he's going to have a left-hand 1-inch tap. Kind of doubt it. Buy some tooling. It'll be about a wash with buying them, so then I'll be able to make more in the future. So that's where I'm at on that. One other thing that I did forget to say that we screwed up on this thing, and I'm not even really worried about it because it's not that big of a deal. But let me get down in here and flip the camera around. I had knocked the anti-wrap Duflicus U-clamp things off of the front leaf spring on the driver's side, front and rear. So these guys are literally just staked with kind of a rivet into the fourth leaf in the pack. All I did was I took the bolt out of the top of the clamp strap, drove these back up into there. They're obviously not the pressed rivet fit like they were, but again, I'm not too worried about it. It's just an anti-wrap component. I always thought it was to actually keep the springs from walking side to side out from underneath it, but I guess from a little research, that's actually supposed to happen with your U-bolts. However, my spring packs are a little narrow for my U-bolts, so the U-bolts and tie plates don't really do their job, so they're kind of getting a little multitask, which might be why they got knocked out of the staked in rivet thing. So I just drove them in with a hammer. I'll keep an eye on them. I'm sure they're going to fall out again, and then after this next little wheeling trip, we're going to I'll pull the spring pack apart, either stake them in properly or not worry about it. So one other thing that I did, this is going to be dating back to when I built the cage and did all the cage work on this thing, is this bracket. There was one on each side. It's now in the scrap metal bin. I had never cut them off. I just left them kind of hanging out in here. They were right up there. You can see some of the grinder marks in the frame and stuff. A little fresh paint over the dirt. There's one on each side, and they were tucked up kind of behind the exhaust and above the rock slider thing, and never really got in the way, but they just looked kind of like they didn't belong because they didn't belong there anymore. But took the time, cut both of those off each side. I flipped the driver's side link upside down. That didn't have much of a bend in it. You can see a little bit of a bow maybe. So I just flipped it upside down, figure if I whack it again, maybe I'll straighten it. Kind of doubt it. But again, that's just temporary thing, so we can go keep playing. Like I said, I'm going to sit down and really crunch the numbers. I might just buy the lower links from somebody like Busted Knuckle or something like that. Those guys know what they're doing. They do it all the time. But at the same time, if I do it myself, that means I'm into it for the same amount of money, and I'll have the tools to make more. So, you know, then I could make badass upper links for just literally the price of material. I could also, well, the material I'd end up having to tune down the size a little bit, but you know, my steering links here, you know, I could make those all out of aluminum if I wanted to get fancy. And if I ever went and 4-link this thing, I could make all my own links again. So I'm torn. Not really sure what I want to do. But that pretty much wraps it up. I fixed the front leaf spring, straightened the lower links, went over the rest of the Jeep. I'm not worried about the shock. Shock looks fine, good enough again for this time. I carry 2 spares in the crawler hauler because when I bought them used, I bought a set of 4. And so I got spares. If I have one that, if it all of a sudden pukes all the oil out of it, I'm good there. Checked all the other fluids. Life is good. I did get my toolbox. Wow, that's interesting, like light thing going on there in the corner. I got my toolbox from work down here the other day. Jammed that under the pallet racking. And we're ready to go camping again. Ready to go wheeling. Still got to pack the camper, go through all that. My lovely bride got everything cleaned up from the s'more trip and put away, and all the laundry done, and all that good jazz, all the dishes, and I pretty much got to fill it back up with water and turn the water heater on, turn the fridge on, and we can repack it on Thursday and head up north. So with any luck, we'll be able to actually get some wheel-in footage there. It would be a lot of fun to get her back behind the wheel, and I can take some video, try and do a better job of it. That's our next step, is to actually try and figure out how to get some good wheel-in video in here. And then once we get back from that trip, it's going to be back to a full maintenance session on this thing. Those lower links, that front spring, fix or rebuild a shock, replace a shock, whatever it is, and get this thing ready for s'more for Crawl the Ozarks. So thanks for watching. As always, like, share, and subscribe, and do something cool in your garage.